The success of any volunteer team in a church or an organization is largely determined by having the right people in the right positions on any given team or within any given department. Jim Collins, in his book Good to Great, says the right people in the right place are the foundation of greatness. So this begs the question, how do I get the right people in the right positions? That's what we will be talking about in today's episode.
Please note, wherever you're consuming today's content, you can also get the audio version of this episode on podcast and the video version on our personal Facebook pages or Instagram or YouTube. It would mean the world to us if you would share, rate it, review it, like it, subscribe to it. This will truly help us get the word out to more pastors and church leaders and volunteers just like yourself in small towns that truly want to see healthy growth in their churches. Thanks in advance for helping us. Now, let's get to today's episode.
Welcome to the Small Town Big Church Leadership Podcast, a place for pastors, church leaders, and volunteers to grow themselves and the local church. We're pastors Brad and Misty Hilton, church planters in rural America. There are two resources that are absolute jet fuel fire for churches to take off. Money and manpower.
You're
You
right.
have to have both
Yep.
to reach the masses with the message of Jesus Christ. If you're a pastor, you know that it takes a lot of money to operate a growing ministry, and it takes a lot of manpower. But not just any kind of manpower. It takes the right kind of manpower.
Right.
And today we're asking the question, how do we get the right people where they need to be serving in order for our teams and eventually our churches to
Yes.
thrive? No matter what level of ministry you're in, you know it's hard to find the right people for the right positions. Many positions may seem like revolving doors with a constant turnover of volunteers, but in some instances, you see some people serving in the same positions for years, and they're just absolutely killing it at what they do.
You know, we all need to think of ourselves as recruiters. Pick your favorite sports team, whether it's college level, semi-pro, or professional. Guys, they all have recruiters. And the recruiter's job is to consistently find the right players with the right talent, the skills and the experience, with the right attitude, work ethics, and philosophies that fits that culture of that team that they're recruiting for. So when we think about recruiting, right, for the local church, we have to approach it with the same mindset. The overall greatness really comes down to leadership, but it comes down to having the right players on the team.
As well.
Exactly. So today, what we're really going to do is give you 3 easy things that you're going to need to remember when recruiting the right people for your team. So the first thing you need to remember is know the profile type for the position you're recruiting for.
This is huge.
This is so big. It is probably the number one mistake that people make when trying to find and recruit volunteers. We're not just looking for a warm body.
Right.
Okay? In any given position, there really needs to be a profile type. And you say to yourself, what exactly do you mean by that? Well, let's give them some examples, okay? Let's say every church needs door greeters. Agree?
Agreed.
All right. So let's put together a profile type for a door greeter. All right. First of all, you're going to be looking for someone who is well put together, right? They're going to be the face of your church. Everyone's walking past them.
And we say this a lot, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
Exactly. So you're going to want somebody well put together, someone professional. Okay? But then beyond that, we're looking for someone who's super nice, but not extremely outgoing. And you say to yourself, why wouldn't you want somebody outgoing? Like they're at your front doors. Well, here's why. You don't want to stop traffic at your front doors. Very outgoing people who are energized by people like to stand and talk, okay? The front doors is not the place for those conversations.
Yeah.
You need somebody who is happy, who wants to smile and open a door and say, good morning, you don't even want someone who wants to say, "How are you?" Right?
And I would say, I mean, they can be outgoing, but they have to be able to contain their outgoingness.
Yes, but there are other positions, Brad, that
Absolutely.
are better
They're
fit
way better fit
for outgoing
but
personalities.
They can be outgoing. They just need to control themselves and resist the urge
Yes, to have that
Get into
conversation.
conversation. We call them chatty Cathys.
Right. So there are certain people that when you lay out this profile, you are just going to know like, oh, they are not a great fit for that.
The most common mistake we see when it comes to recruiting is most people, even sometimes leaders, don't really have a definitive idea of what they are looking for in a volunteer. So the second you can nail this down and make it very specific, you're already 3 steps ahead in recruiting the right people.
And not only for yourself, but for them. All
yes,
right?
absolutely.
You're wasting their time
and
if
yours.
you don't take the time to know exactly what type of person you're looking for that position. And you may be like, well, Misty, like, you know, maybe in a big church you have all those options. In a small church you don't. But okay, we've been there, man. Mm-hmm. We started with 1 couple.
Yep.
So we were that small church.
Can't get any smaller than
that. You can't
that.
get any smaller than 2 families, okay?
Yeah.
So I know in some situations, you know, you don't have the option to be super picky, but you can still have an idea of the type of volunteer that is the ideal volunteer. And then from there, you pick the best options within the realm of the people you have to work with.
Yeah, and it's a goal that you're working towards. Before we get into the second and third things that you need to remember about recruiting, we want to tell you about an event coming up that is specifically designed to encourage and equip lead pastors to experience healthy growth in their local churches. We'd like to extend a personal invitation for you to join us Thursday, September 26th, 2024, for a 1-day leadership roundtable at Mountain Movers Church in Grove, Oklahoma. The event is totally and completely free. It's our gift to you, and we'll have a really nice catered lunch and a really great time together with Brad White. He's the director of C3 Global out of Grapevine, Texas. You're going to leave refreshed and encouraged with, we believe, a new direction and a lot of great ideas for the next season of growth.
That's right.
For you as a pastor and even for your church. And we'll have more information about that and a link to register on our website at mountainmoverschurch.org. So mark your calendars and be looking for that information to be coming out very, very soon. We really hope that you'll join us for that.
So let's look at the second thing you need to remember while recruiting. And that is ask the right questions to find the right people. Now, once you have that profile type and you know the type of person you're looking for, as you go out into the lobby on a Sunday or your midweek, you're in small groups or life groups, you are constantly fishing.
You're throwing the bait.
You are looking for like, what are you interested in? Here's some of the questions like, hey, what do you do for a living?
Right.
Where do you live? What do you enjoy doing with your time? Now, obviously, you don't ask all of these questions like bam, bam, bam.
No.
But as you're talking to people, it's like when you ask someone, what do you enjoy doing with your free time?
It tells you so much.
It does, because a lot of times, you know, that's when you find out like, oh, these people live on the lake. They have a boat. Oh, ding, ding, ding. Accelerate at the lake. We're going to need some guys who love being on the water that have some boats for that event, right? Or I really enjoy music. It's like, really?
Oh, you do?
What do you play, right?
Yeah.
So you're just having some casual conversations, but you're always asking questions of people. So for us, we call it our serve team. And when you are recruiting someone, you simply invite them to jump on the app or the website and click on the volunteer application, right? Join the serve team. When you hit that application, we also have questions that we have already pre-thought out. Like, what would help us to know how to place you better? And so on there, you're going to see things like, what was your favorite job of all time? What are your hobbies? Just a few things that help us to know, even if you are saying, I'm interested in serving in kids ministry, but your favorite job of all time had to do with like graphic design.
Right.
We're going to be like,
wait a minute.
I need to ask a few more questions.
Yeah.
So then the next step in placing someone is an actual conversation, because we don't always know everyone who's applying. So now it's a conversation to find out a little bit more about them. A face-to-face meeting them, asking them a few more questions, kind of like an interview process, but really it's all about finding the perfect place for them.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, you want volunteers to love where they serve. You want it to energize them, not just be a place that they can serve, but really where they feel like they're using the gifts and talents God gave them to further the kingdom.
And you bring up a good point. Asking these additional questions can be very helpful because they might check off that they want to be involved in children's ministry.
Right.
But you see that what they do for a living is they do IT work.
Yeah.
And what they don't know is, because maybe you don't have it on the website, that there is opportunities and a huge need for volunteers in this space of IT.
Sure.
So that tells those of us on the administrative side, oh my goodness, like this guy might be or girl might be a huge benefit and bring a lot of value to our team. So asking those questions, those deep diving questions could really help you to recruit the right people, even though they don't realize that there's opportunities right under their nose.
Yep.
One thing you don't want to do, at least within our context, is tell someone that they would be a perfect fit for any particular position, because the reality is you don't know.
As a volunteer or as a leader recruiting, always recruit overall to say you would be a great fit on the serve team.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, everyone has a place to serve in God's kingdom.
Yeah.
It's our job as leaders to find the right position for them.
Absolutely. So the third thing, let's get into that you're going to want to remember when you're trying to recruit the right people for the right positions is care more about their calling than just filling a position. Another big recruiting mistake that we make is just trying to fill a position.
We're not looking
for a warm body,
right? As a leader, you will be so frustrated if you just fill a position because there's an empty hole there.
And how many times have we seen this in churches and in ministries?
More than I want to count.
People just throw warm bodies into positions,
right.
and they think, hey, all right, let's check that off. We filled that spot. Now everything's going to be great.
Yeah.
No,
because at the end of the day, if you care more about that person's calling and you take the time to ask the right questions and put them in the right place, they are going to love what they do. And at the end of the day,
they're going to feel
that's
fulfilled.
What you want. Because they are going to feel fulfilled. Yeah. They are going to do a great job. You're not going to have that constant turnover. Guys, if you put the people in the wrong position, you are going to have constant volunteer turnover.
Yep.
They are not going to enjoy it. They're not going to be happy.
Effect.
And part of recruiting is having the right people who are happy serving. Yeah. So when people who are not serving see all of these volunteers who are happy, it's like,
I want to do that.
I want to be a part of that, right?
Serving.
Right. Very fulfilling. And so take the time. Listen, that's really what it comes down to. In leadership, it is about taking the time to do things the right way. If you will help people to understand, we are about finding the perfect fit for you, a place that you will love to serve and contribute. And you go into it saying, if you don't love this, come to
let
me
us know.
As your leader. Let me know. Yeah. We don't mind at all.
Don't feel like you're letting us down.
Yeah, we don't mind moving you. And so, I think a lot of times volunteers don't want to let people down. If they don't love it, they feel nervous to tell somebody. Tell them from the get-go. Yeah. We're looking to put you on the right seat on the bus.
We're giving you permission to tell us that this isn't for you.
That's right.
So time will tell where people truly fit, but everyone belongs somewhere in the kingdom of God.
Yes.
Let's remember that. Okay, we hope today's content has been a blessing. We hope that it's helped you. Let us know. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you can comment, Instagram, just let us know, and we'd love to interact with you. Blessings to you, and we will see you next time.